Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited to talk about how to live zero waste as a teen or how to live zero waste while you're living with your parents or a roommate or anything in between. I did not mean to rhyme. But I got this request from somebody a few months ago on a video and I'm really excited to finally get to talk about this topic. And I'm also very excited to do this video in collaboration with Charlotte from Our Future is Mars. She is one of my good YouTube, Instagram friends and she actually is still a teen living with her parents, which makes her insight on this topic very, very valuable because I'm just thinking back 4 to 6 years, how would I have done this when I was a teen living with my parents? So her actually being in that situation now is very, very valuable. So I encourage you to check out her video after this. I will leave it linked up here as well as down below. And don't forget to give her a subscribe as well. The stuff she talks about is very inspirational, especially coming from a young person. So go check her out after this video. Before we get too far into it, if I talk a little bit too fast for you, you can actually follow along with the blog post version linked down below, or you can change the speed of this video using the gear icon right down here. A lot of these tips are free and easy to implement. Like even if you're not a teen, you can still implement these tips into your life. And so yeah, it's not just for teens and young people either living with their parents. It could be if you live with a housemate or a roommate that doesn't live very sustainably, you can still make these changes without interfering in their life too much. So this is a video for a whole lot of different people. I also have it broken down into 2 categories. The first is easy, very accessible tips. And then the second is like medium hard tips. They're not really that difficult. It just might take a little bit more convincing from the person you're living with instead of just making changes on your own. They don't have to do anything. It might take a little bit of a team effort for the harder ones because of the money saving that comes along with all of these. You'll probably be able to convince your parents or your roommate to do this. And that's why I have it broken down into 2 categories, because sometimes when you're a teen, it can be hard to convince your parents to do anything, whether that be carpooling, eating a meatless meal, going vegan entirely, shopping bulk, all that sort of stuff. Your parents probably might not be on board with it, at least at first. So we're gonna start out with some changes that you can make initially, help show them that living low waste can actually save your family money, and then they might be more inspired to implement some of the harder tips later on. So this list is not conclusive. These are just like the best 20 tips that I could come up with. If you guys are interested, you found this valuable, let me know down below. I'd love to make a part 2 to this. And of course, check out Charlotte's tips as well because her tips are going to be very insightful too. And lastly, you don't have to implement all of these tips. You can pick and choose which ones are gonna work best for you, your household, your situation, and then just roll with it. If you can implement more and more over the years, that's great too. And lastly, I have a lot of helpful resources already on my YouTube channel and on my website. Things like how to recycle properly, free ways to live low waste. I have now done 6 parts to that series. Easy water conservation, easy energy conservation. A lot of those you can do as a teen as well without interfering in your family life. So check out all the resources I already have on my channel if you'd like more than just 20 tips. Now, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with the easy tips. The first tip is that if your household doesn't already recycle, see if your town even has a recycling program, because some towns might not. If they do, you just have to call your trash service. For example, ours was called Rumpke back in Ohio. We would just have to give them a quick call and be like, excuse me, we would like a recycling bin. They'll bring it to your house for free. Most recycling services are free, so it won't cost your family anything. You'll just have to do the phone call and setting up the drop off and everything. But then your household can start recycling. Now, recycling isn't the solution to our wastefulness, but it is a much better step than the landfill. Right along those lines though, if your family is already recycling, be sure that your family is recycling properly. You can't just throw everything into your recycle bin. You can check out this video up here on 100 things you actually cannot put in your bin, as well as I have an entire recycling series on how to properly recycle things like plastic, glass, paper, metal, do's and don'ts of recycling, all that good stuff. So check out that playlist too. The next tip is to start a club at school. This could be anything from just talking about environmental issues. It could be pitching solutions to make your school more low waste. I also have a video on how to live low waste at school. I'll leave that linked up above as well. This could even be like a neighborhood cleanup group or anything along those lines. Whatever you're inspired by and passionate about, start a club around that. The next tip is super simple, and that is to just take a walk every now and then around your neighborhood, bring a bag with you, and pick up litter. Cleaning up your neighborhood might not seem like a zero waste action, but it cleans up your neighborhood. It prevents animals from eating that litter. It prevents that litter from getting into our waterways and maybe even making its way to the ocean. So even if you just pick up one piece of litter per day, it really does make a big impact. Next is to start using less water. And this is a tip that obviously you can do without anybody's permission, but you could even convince the rest of your family to do by showing your parents, showing your guardian, your housemates, just how much money you can save by reducing your water consumption. I have an entire video about how we can reduce our water consumption. I'll leave that linked above and below if you'd like to check that out as well. But you can just start with simple things like turning off the water when you brush your teeth, shave, wash the dishes, just being mindful of your water consumption, putting your dishwasher and washing machine on eco settings so they will use less water, and so forth. And of course, teach your family about water conservation too, and let your family know just how much money you can actually save by reducing even just a little bit of water consumption every year, every month. Also with water, I've decided to make this its own tip because you can save a lot of water this way, and that is to take shorter showers and take fewer baths. And that is because baths use a lot more water than showers do, so the less you take of them, the more water you can save. And then when you do take a shower, get in there, do your business, get out. Don't sit there and ponder all of life's questions because then you're wasting water. So the shorter shower you take, obviously the less water you're going to be using. Try to shorten each shower maybe by 30 to 60 seconds. Of course, still get clean. And don't forget to start saving electricity too. And of course, this is so simple. It's just turning off the lights when you leave a room, unplugging devices that are not in use so that they are not using vampire power, making sure that your outdoor lights are turned off at the end of the day when you're not using them, and so forth. Again, I have an entire video on electricity conservation linked up here as well as down below. The next tip is to not wash your clothes as much. This might sound like a bit of a weird tip, but it's really not that weird. For example, I'm just wearing this shirt to film. I'm probably gonna take it off, and I had only had this on for like 2 hours, so it doesn't need washed. Now, of course, if you get sweaty, you get dirty, keep that in mind. Don't like keep that for a few days and keep wearing it because that will be disgusting. Use common sense here. If you go out and you mow the lawn, that probably needs cleaned. If you go do a workout, that probably needs cleaned. But if you just wear something to sit on your couch or go to a nice dinner and it doesn't get messed up, you don't really need to wash it. Of course, this will save the quality of your clothing, meaning you don't have to buy as much clothing, and it will save on water and detergent as well. All of this combined will save you a lot of money and save your household money. The next tip is to write letters to businesses, to corporations, to your congressman, to anybody that you'd like to see make changes. For example, you might write to a company that you love, but they use plastic. You could say something like, I really enjoy your product. I think what you're doing as a company is great, but I really don't appreciate how much plastic you're using. Just making them aware that one customer, and then maybe your friends as well, don't like that as well. A few customers aren't very happy with the overall product, and they might be willing to change. The same with your congressman. You can find your congressman, call them, email them, and say, hey, I'd really like if my state or area would have more accessible green energy, bike lanes, or something like that. Whatever green changes you want to see be made in your area, let your congressman know. They might not implement it right away, but at least that idea will now be in their head. If they get more letters and calls like that in the future, it'll really start to build up, and they might be willing to make those changes too. And along those lines, as a bonus tip, review eco companies. Let eco companies know that they're doing well as well, so that they know that they need to stay in business and continue to produce those products. A really easy tip that you can do at any age, no matter if you're a teen or you're an adult living with other people, is to watch documentaries on topics that you're interested about. This could be a series or a TV show about veganism, minimalism, climate change, species extinction, and so forth. Really whatever you're interested in. And then you don't necessarily have to have your family or your roommates sit down and watch this with you, but once you learn that information, spread the word as well. This could be posting something on social media or just sitting down and talking with your family at dinner about these issues. And then if you're not into documentaries, you could also read books about these topics as well. Next is to switch your browser to Ecosia. I think that's how it's pronounced. I've heard a lot of people say it different ways, but what Ecosia is it is a search engine that works just as well as Google or Safari or any other search engine, but they plant 1 tree per search. So yes, surfing the web does have a little bit of an environmental impact, but Ecosia is balancing that out by planting a tree every single time you do a search on their browser. This is a completely free app, whether that be on your phone, your laptop, or even your family computer, and then you can try to convince the rest of your family to use this instead of Google as well. So by simply surfing the internet, you could be helping sequester carbon. Okay, my next tip is to upcycle. It's one of my favorite tips ever, one of my favorite things to do personally as someone living a low impact lifestyle. I'm not gonna give you too many specifics, but what I encourage you to do is just start to think outside the box. Okay, so for example, this little water catcher right here is actually a Frisbee that I found as litter. So instead of thinking, oh, I found this piece of litter, I'm gonna throw it right into the trash, think, how can I use this instead? Anything around your house too. I have upcycled old tin cans into our cat tree, into planters. I've upcycled old t-shirts into rugs and makeup remover wipes. There are so many things that you can upcycle and so many things to create. So try to use materials you already have and something that you would probably be throwing away anyway. This saves a lot of waste from the landfill and it helps you to create a product that you're going to love for a long time. So while you're educating yourself, watching documentaries or reading books, do it in a more sustainable manner. And what I mean is to get a library card and to borrow books and movies instead of buying them brand new. Of course, this will save your family, your household so much money. Plus, watching a DVD actually has a lower carbon footprint than streaming on something like Netflix or Prime. Plus, library cards are completely free. It allows you access to so many books and movies completely for free, and you're not creating any more waste in the process. While I think books are a great tool, using books that have already been created is much better than buying a brand new one. Another tip I have in this category is to sign petitions. I'm sure we've all seen random petitions floating around on Facebook and Instagram, and we probably just scroll by them. But I encourage you to actually sign them, whether that be something for Black Lives Matter, water conservation, getting solar energy in your neighborhood, saving the bees, whatever it may be. Whenever you see a petition, sign it. It does not take much time out of your day. All you need is an email address to click on the link. It takes maybe a minute, and it actually can have a really big impact. The last tip I have in the easy category is in regards to your phone and maybe even other devices too. It's a two-part tip. So the first one is to turn your battery to low power mode. Low power mode is great because say I were to leave my phone on accidentally like this, it would sit here and it would run out until I remembered, oh no, my phone is still on. But in low power mode, it will actually time out after 30 seconds approximately. I think you can actually set the time that you want it to be, and then it will save your battery by making your screen turn off. Along those lines is to turn on battery optimization as well. So many people are concerned like, you can't leave your phone plugged in overnight, that's bad for the battery. And it is, because if your phone reaches 100%, say at 2 a.m. but you don't wake up till 8 a.m., that can actually be harmful to the battery, letting it sit on the charger at 100%. Same with laptops and iPads, everything as well. But battery optimization will actually analyze your plugging in and unplugging patterns. So for example, I typically plug my phone in around 9 to 10 every night, and then I unplug it anywhere from like 4:30 to 6:30. But my phone will analyze that and be like, okay, we need to reach 100% by 4:30 at the minimum, instead of reaching 100% at like midnight, for example. Of course, this helps save your battery life, helps your battery to last longer, and then helps your devices to last longer, because technology has a very big carbon footprint. The more we take care of our technology, the better. Okay, so let's move on to the medium or harder tips. And again, these aren't like extremely difficult. They're very easy to do. It just might be difficult to convince the rest of your household to get on board. So the first one is to try to get your family to participate in meatless Mondays, or even just doing one vegan meal a week. Per meatless meal, you can potentially save up to 133 gallons of water, 24 square feet of land, and reduce your carbon footprint by 8 pounds a day. And this can be easy to convince your family to do too, because legumes and beans are actually cheaper than buying ground beef, steak, or a lot of other types of meat. Especially like growing up, I had a family of 7, so we had to buy so much meat. Imagine if we just bought a bag of beans instead, that's only like 50 cents to $1. We could have saved a lot of money that way. Plus, another thing to sway your family is offer to cook that meal. Say, I know I can't buy groceries because I'm only 13, but family, I will cook for you on that day. I guarantee your parents will be like, heck yes, now I don't have to cook. Or you can make it a family affair and you can all learn to cook new foods together. There's a lot of ways to go about this that can be a lot of fun and maybe even help convince your family to do these things. Next is to actually go to the grocery with your parents, your guardians, your roommate, whatever, and help them to reduce their waste in the grocery store. This can be anything from opting for less plastic and instead trying to get packageless paper or metal. Glass isn't necessarily the best, it depends on your area, but it's still better than plastic. And you can also opt for bulk or larger items. I talked about this on Instagram a while back, so follow me there for more tips. But what I mean is buy like the big container of oats instead of the individual packets. Buy the biggest jar of salsa instead of 3 little jars of salsa. They're actually cheaper per weight and will save your family money in the long run, and you're using so much less packaging. And if you're really into it, you can even head to a bulk store. That would be really cool too, but you can still reduce your impact at the grocery store without having access to a bulk store. The next tip is if you have multiple people who can drive in your family, carpool. Like I said, growing up, we had a family of 7, and at one point we had like 3 to 4 people in my family who could drive, and oftentimes all of us would drive our cars separately to events, to school, you name it. Looking back, like, wow, that is so wasteful. Imagine how much gas we could have saved. So carpooling obviously saves you gas, which saves you money, but by reducing your gas consumption, you're also reducing your emissions as well. Next, and this one definitely will take a little bit of convincing, and that is to do a family trash audit. So what a trash audit is you keep all of your non-perishable waste, so do not keep food waste, for a week or a month, however long you want to analyze your waste. And then at the end of that time, you look and you see, okay, what can I buy packageless? What can I switch from plastic to another product? What can I reduce entirely? What can I omit entirely? And things like that. Like for example, if your family drinks a lot of soda, maybe you can look at that and be like, okay, let's try to reduce our soda consumption by half. If your family buys a lot of like pre-packaged fruit and vegetables, think about, can we buy this packageless instead? So you can do that without doing a trash audit, but doing a trash audit really helps you to visualize, wow, we make a lot of waste in a month. So it really helps you get a little bit more inspired to reduce that physical waste instead of just putting it in the trash can, out of sight, out of mind. Another tip I have for you is to learn a new skill that can actually help you save waste. So the first one I thought of was mending. If you learn how to sew, you can fix so many of your family's clothing. And this is a hard tip because it might be a little bit hard to acquire the materials and to actually learn the skill. At least it'll take some time to learn the skill. But I learned to sew mostly from watching YouTube videos. You don't have to go take a class or invest in any like equipment. Simple needle and thread can get you a long way with mending. I've mended things like belt loops in my jeans. I've mended a book bag and a lunchbox even. There's a lot of things you can fix by simply learning how to sew. Along the lines of mending is you can even just ask your family to buy some super glue, or if you have an allowance or your own job, buy yourself some super glue because super glue comes in so much handy. I've fixed things like planters, mugs, bowls. I fixed so many things with super glue so I can make it last longer. And that's the whole point of mending entirely, is to keep things like your jeans and your shoes and everything out of landfill for a little while longer so you don't have to keep buying replacement after replacement after replacement. Do you need to say hello? Baby. You went down now? Yeah. Goodbye. And then the last tip I have for today at least, again, let me know if you'd like to see a part 2, is to think before you buy. For example, if you have an allowance or you have your own job, think about purchases and be a little bit more responsible with your money. I tried my best to do this in high school, but I always ended up going to the mall with my friends and I would impulse buy a lot of things, whether that be perfumes, clothing, you name it. Or this could even be something as simple as if your parents are offering to buy you new school supplies, new clothes, new backpack for the new school year, think about those purchases first, even though it's not your money. Just something as simple as, do I still have paper in my notebook from last year? Do I really need this new notebook? Is my book bag still functional? Do I really need a new book bag? Think about those questions before you buy something. Using what you already have, using what's already been created is so important because it prevents us from using new resources and using more energy to create those new things. You could even, if you do want new school clothes, new whatever, you can ask your parents if you can go to the thrift store instead. So that way you still get the joy of shopping and getting something new to you, but it's not something that's new to this planet. So your carbon footprint is almost zero when it comes to thrifting. Your really only carbon footprint is driving to the store. So that is all I have for today. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this valuable. If you have any more tips, especially if you're a teen, on how you live low waste while living with your parents, leave them down below. Or if you have any tips for living low waste with a housemate, with roommates, again, let me know. I'm thinking about making this a little bit of a mini series. Like maybe when it comes time for back to school, I might talk about how to live zero waste like in college, how to live zero waste in high school. Again, there are so many more tips that I have that could be implemented in this how to live low waste as a teen series, how to live low waste with roommates. Let me know if you guys would find value in that, and I would love to continue this little mini series. Again, don't forget to check out Charlotte's video. It's linked up here as well as down below. Her tips really expand on this topic, and like I said, her input is so valuable as she is still in this situation. But that is all I have for today. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or if you just feel like giving it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, I post new content every Monday and Thursday Japan Standard Time, which is Sunday and Wednesday in the US. If you're interested in any low waste content along these lines, I really like to focus on free, easy, and fun ways we can all live low waste as teens, as adults, as senior citizens, and everyone in between. Again, thank you for your time, and until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. Hello everyone. Oh. Why is my nose popping? Call them. Who? Call who? Goodness. Whatever your inspiration, is that what I was gonna say? By reducing even just a little bit of water consumption. By reducing even just a little bit of water consumption. What did I write? The next tip is to upcycle. Is it over there? It's gonna be. Yeah, okay. Oh. The next tip is to think before you buy. No, it's not. The next tip is not that.